and welcome to an update of the mating game. I know we skipped an update for last week, but I didn't skip their feeding. They certainly got food. Let's see what these guys have been up to. This is the European nightcrawler bin. I always start with that. We have some babies. And the material looks nice. Definitely have young ones. Yeah, lots of babies. So, I mean, these guys, although they're not super duper prolific, they're still reproducing for me. Can't complain. Is that a cocoon? Yeah, that's a cocoon. Nice and amber colored. Well, this guy already has his clitellum. He's still young, but he already has his clitellum. Very good. I think this is where I fed them last week. Yeah, right in the center. I gave him some apples, and well, we know apples take forever to break down, but that's okay. They've been doing great with the rest of the food, so it's no big deal. Okay, so babies, cocoons, very, very good. Let's feed these guys up. They definitely don't need any water because the, yes, feisty. I got you all riled up. Because the bedding is plenty moist, they don't need any water. And today they're going to get a combination of a little bit of apple and cucumber. This is about 3 ounces. And I think this should last them for a while, because they still have the apple from the other week. Here's our oyster shell. And covering this up. So these guys are a little bit slow, but they are still reproducing for me and composting the material. So all in all, not bad. Let's go over to the red wiggler bin. Now here are the red wigglers. And let's see how these guys look. Moisture is great. I'm seeing a lot of babies here. Every time I turn over material, I can see babies. This material looks even fluffier actually than the European nightcrawler bin. Here's another cocoon. So these guys are also reproducing. They're doing a very good job of it. A lot of young worms here. Just going to fluff up the material a little bit. Sorry I'm bothering you guys, but you know the drill. And then we fed in the center. Oh yeah, look at that, guys. So this is where we fed. And you can see jackpot. This is where my darlings are. Beautiful. Yeah, so these guys have reproduced. Yeah, they've reproduced. They are great. Absolutely great. So now, even though we started with 5 adult worms, we definitely have a lot more adult worms in there now that the babies have become adults themselves. And they're adding to the population. These guys are awesome. Let's cover this up. And let's go over to the Perionyx bin. Here are the blue worms. And last week, or it was 2 weeks ago, we said that they were in first place. Certainly looked like they were. And they are working the material over beautifully. There are a lot of castings in here. I think this is why it's also very moist, because as the castings build up, they retain a lot of moisture, and so everything is nice and consistent. And since I'm not really feeding them large amounts of kitchen scraps, I don't have to worry about getting it too wet in there, since I'm not adding any bedding either. That's a baby. Yeah, they move fast. Let's see. They are probably, see, look at that, lively guys. Oof. They're probably where we fed the majority of them, where I fed them last week with the apple. Those of you who have just started composting with worms, and you think that you may have blues mixed in with reds, just pay attention to how they move. Like if you turn over a blue worm and you put him on top, he will immediately, I mean, he will not even think. He will start moving away from the light really, really quickly. A red wiggler tends to try and figure it out for a bit before he starts moving. And here is the apple. Yeah. And here are the blues. Yeah. So, same thing, you can see what a large number of blues we have now, and a lot of them are adults as well. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, trying not to make this too long. After all, we're not really going to know anything until we count them. And unfortunately, we really are going to have to count them, because the Perionyx is a much smaller worm than, let's say, the African nightcrawler or the European nightcrawler. And if I weigh them by weight, they may be giving me less, but there may be more worms, but they weigh less. So it's not really going to give me an accurate count. Whereas if I, God help me, count them one by one. I'll know exactly how many worms I have, and that will tell me who wins this competition. All right, these guys are done. Let's go over to our last bin, which are the African nightcrawlers. Here are the African nightcrawlers. And I have to say that these guys have a very interesting castings. They are larger than the other worms, quite flaky. I'm worried these guys are almost completely gone through the bedding. So not exactly sure what can I do about it, since I don't want to add any more bedding, but I don't want to leave them only in castings. So dilemma. Here's a baby. A lot of babies and worms that are already getting some size to them. The bin feels good. Yep, babies, babies, babies. Some of the larger worms are at the bottom. Oops, did I lose focus? Beautiful color. Oh, that neon violet flash of color. Doesn't always come out on camera, unfortunately. Too bad. And this is where we fed. See, that's what I'm saying, that these guys have also done really, really well, and I think they can easily be put into the third place, where the European nightcrawlers are last. Look at all the babies. Very nice, guys, very nice. You get your food. Same 3 ounces. Yeah, I'm gonna try and see what I can do about the bedding, because I do know that the African nightcrawlers are really great at composting carbon sources. My experience has been, at least in my bins, that the African nightcrawlers are #1 when it comes to composting bedding. So we may have to add bedding to this to even out the conditions in the bin. I don't want this to get super duper wet. Don't want to create anaerobic conditions, especially in a bin so small. That's very easy to do. Okay, so these guys are fed. 1 more week, they're all doing beautifully. And we still have our blues first, reds second, ANC third, and the European nightcrawlers in 4th place. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.